Welcome to today's session on open access publishing. My name is Toby Lemtetwa. I'm the acting librarian for postgrad support and scholarly communication. All right, we will now begin the session. Before we go on to understanding what is open access, we need to understand what is open science. So open science is the umbrella term for open access, digital humanities, open data, open educational resources, open peer review, scientific social networks, open source and open notebooks, and citizen science. So the main purpose of open science is a movement that promotes a collaborative, transparent approach to research to make scientific knowledge, including publications, data software, and methods openly accessible and reusable for all. It fosters innovation by promoting collaboration, reproducibility, public trust, and effectively breaking down traditional paywall and removing silos in research. All right, now we will come to understand what is open access. It is a publishing model that provides free, immediate online access to academic research, removing financial and legal and technical barriers. It allows anyone to read, download, copy, distribute, print scholarly work. It is primarily applied to peer-reviewed journals. It often uses Creative Commons licenses. All right, so Rhodes University became a signatory of the Berlin Declaration in 2013. So the Berlin Declaration promotes open access to knowledge in the sciences and humanities. It allows for free, unrestricted access to scholarly research. Therefore, Rhodes University supports and promotes open access publishing. So what are the benefits of publishing open access? It promotes and increases research visibility and citation impacts, promotes global access to knowledge. It supports collaboration across institutions and countries. It accelerates innovation and knowledge sharing, as well as improve public access to publicly funded research. So there are different types of open access publishing modules, depending on your preference, and you can choose the one that is applicable to you. So the first one is the green open access route, which is also known as the self-archiving. It is the institutional repositories. So it allows users to deposit copies of their work into the institutional, and it involves no publication fee. It may involve embargo periods set by publishers. So example of the green open access route, for example, will be our data repository, which is Figshare, as well as DSpace, which is for thesis and dissertation preprints, conference proceedings, and so forth. So basically the green open access publishing route is your institutional repository publishing model. Okay, we will now explore the next publishing model, which is the gold open access route. So with the gold open access route, articles are freely available immediately upon publication. These will be in open access journal or hybrid journals. It involves article processing charges managed by the research office at the institution. It allows for immediate access to the journal through the publisher. One of the positives of using or exploring the gold open access route is that it promotes high visibility. There are no embargoes in contrast to the green open access, where there might be an embargo, for example, on a thesis. Maybe there's still information from the thesis, or the scholar or a master's student, for example, is still hoping to publish their master's thesis. So with the gold open access, it allows authors to return copyright, often under the Creative Commons licenses, which I will explain later on. So the other open access publishing model that I would discuss is the hybrid open access. So this is when a researcher chooses to publish in a subscription-based journal with a paid open access fee. For example, the research office will usually manage the fee through transformative agreements. Okay, so what are transformative agreements? These are agreements between the university and the publisher. So for example, if you're publishing in an open access journal, what usually happens, our research office, before you publish, you will need to contact our research office and they will negotiate the article processing charges on your behalf with the publisher, so that you don't have to pay when you publish, for example, in a subscription-based journal. So the transformative agreements are also known as read and publish agreements. They repurpose former subscription funds for publishing cost and make research more accessible globally. Okay, so this infographic provides a snapshot of the different stages involved in publishing in an open access scientific article. For example, what will usually happen is that, for example, a scholar or researcher will receive funding from a funding agency such as NRF. Once they receive funding, they will now begin their research, where they start writing up their manuscript. Once they write up their manuscript, they need to choose a journal to publish under. I will elaborate later on how to access accredited journals. So when you're publishing, it's important to choose accredited journals. And when publishing open access, you need to choose journals that are open accessible. So once you've sent your manuscript to the publisher, what will usually happen is that your manuscripts will get peer reviewed by reviewer 1 and 2, and then they will send back suggestions to you. You can either accept or decline those suggestions. And once you've effected all the changes, you can send back your revised manuscript to the publisher. But before you send the revised manuscript, that's when you involve the research office, where they will have to negotiate article processing charges on your behalf with the where the research office, will have to negotiate article processing charges on your behalf with the publisher. Once an agreement has been reached and the fees have been paid, your work is sent to the publisher, and then your article becomes published and openly accessible. So the next slide is also an infographic that simplifies the different publishing modules, with the first one being the gold route, where you choose an open access journal, article processing charges with Rhodes, which is managed by our research office. And then once those are paid, there's immediate access to the journal article. Then we have the green, which is our institutional repository, which may have embargoes depending on the researcher, whether they want for example, the master's thesis to be put under an embargo period, for example, for 6 months until it's accessible. And then it says immediate or delayed access depending on publisher's policy. The hybrid journal, which is subscription-based, there's article processing charges. Although it's subscription-based, when article processing charges are paid for the open access option, it becomes openly accessible. Okay, next we will tackle publishing policies. So there is an online database called Sherpa Romeo, which aggregates and analyzes publisher open access policies across the world. It provides a searchable journal-by-journal summary of copyright guidelines, self-archiving permissions, and embargo periods, helping researchers determine how they can legally share their work. I will take you briefly through the database later on as we proceed with the presentation. Okay, the key aspects of Sheperomo is that it acts as a guide for academic authors, detailing what version of an article, for example, preprint, whether it's a postprint or publisher's version, can be deposited into repositories and under what conditions. These policies are usually categorized by color, with green, for example, in stipulating that can archive preprint, postprint, and publisher's version. Blue only can archive postprint and publisher's version. Yellow can only archive preprints, and white indicating that archiving is not permissible. Okay, next is copyright and licensing. What is copyright? It is a legal right that grants creators exclusive control over their original works, such as books, art, music, films, so forth. It prevents others from reproducing, redistributing work without permission, and ensuring creators can control and monetize their intellectual property. How can one maintain copyright of their work? So there are different steps or guidelines that one needs to take to ensure that they protect the intellectual property. Some include clearly identifying themselves as the creator, keeping original copies of their work and records of the work, registering copyright where applicable, using copyright notices of their work, licensing the work carefully, monitoring unauthorized use, and taking legal action against infringement when necessary. For example, let's say a researcher at Rhodes University wants to publish in an open access journal under Creative Commons licenses. The researcher remains the copyright holder while allowing others to read, share, cite their work under specified conditions. By signing a publishing agreement that states that the author retains copyright, the researcher maintains ownership of the intellectual property while still disseminating their research widely. So I will explain further on what are Creative Commons licenses. So this slide provides a description of the different Creative Commons licenses. At the top, we have Creative Commons licenses, which are most open, and at the bottom, least open. So usually you are able, when you publish, you can, choose the licensing for your work. For example, if you choose CC by SA, it's usually, this navigation page. It allows, CC by SA allows others to distribute your work under license identical to the one attached to the original work. So on the right, the terms of licenses provide a description on the different combinations of the licenses. So you can read up further. I will share the slides on the different licenses and how they guide the sharing and the redistribution of work. Okay, open access publishing and its impact. So why publish open access? It promotes discoverability of your work. It supports higher readership and broader engagement. It encourages interdisciplinary and international collaboration, contributes to societal impact and knowledge equity. Okay, next up, we will discuss what is predatory publishing. Predatory publishing are fraudulent, rather, academic publishing platform that prioritize financial gain over research integrity, charging article processing charges without providing legitimate peer review or editorial services. Basically, predatory publishing, they pose as credible journals. Meanwhile, they are fake journals. They often use deceptive tactics to mimic reputable journals, soliciting submissions through aggressive emails. So the key characteristics or how you would identify that the journal is a predatory publishing. First thing, you will find that there will be rapid publication. They will usually promise quick turnaround time, sometimes days with little to no genuine peer reviewed. There are hidden fees where you would find that when you want to publish at the end, there are extra costs that you were not told about initially. They are deceptive editorial board. They list experts without their consent or use fake names. Poor website quality is another indicator. Usually they might be broken links or an unprofessional design. And then broad scope, accept papers widely from different disciplines. There's also hijacking of names. Okay, so on the slides, we will look at the criteria to consider. So one of the questions or some of the questions that you can ask yourself to see if the journal that you're publishing is not a predatory journal, you'll first need to consult the directory of open access journals. You will ask yourself, are the publishing fees and copyright ownership clearly indicated? Is the publisher a member of a reputable industry organization such as Open Access Scholarly Publishers Association or the Committee of Publication Ethics? You would examine the journal's website, such information such as affiliation with a university or professional organization. Think, Check, Submit is another tool that can help you with verifying whether it is a predatory journal. So important that when you want to publish, you also look at journal rankings. Journals that have a high impact or journal ranking means, journals with a higher ranking means they have a higher impact. So there's different journal rankings. So you can consult the different journals such as SciMango, where they will provide you with a list of different open access journals and you can review the impact. Clarivate Analytics is another one that allows you to view the journal rankings of different journals. You can also view the journal rankings of journals on Dimensions Analytics, as well as Web of Science Master Journal. So next, I will take you through to our scholarly communication LibGuides, which provide an in-depth explanation on academic publishing, as well as publishing open access, and how and can help you locate accredited journals, as well as a journal checklist. I'm quickly going to navigate to the Rhodes Library website. And then I'm gonna, I didn't explain there. Let me just quickly explain what I did. So I navigated to the Rhodes Library website. I'm gonna navigate down to access my subject guide. Then I'm gonna select all guides. Then I'm gonna scroll down to the Scholarly Communication LibGuide. Once I'm on the scholarly communication LibGuides, it elaborates on, for example, academic publishing, choosing the right journal, accredited journals. For example, when you select accredited journals, you are able to view the DHEAD. This is the recent list of accredited journals. You can navigate, you can download the list, you can search for the journal of your preference, depending on whether you've chosen a selected journal that you want to see if it's part of the accredited list. And then you can be able to choose the correct journal. For example, if you choose download list, it will enable you to download the accredited journal list, and then you can open the Excel, and then you will be able to choose from the list. You will be able to choose from the list or search, for example, if maybe I'm publishing in Taylor and Francis, I'll use the Control F, then I can just search Taylor and Francis and try to find that journal from the list here. And then here it is. Then you'll be able to see, I just wanna, sorry. Then you'll be able to see the standard journal title, ISNN, status, and so forth, as well as the publisher. And then that's how you can check to see if the journal is accredited. Okay, I'm just going to quickly close this and navigate back to our LibGuide. You can also use the journal checklist to check. Okay, as well as if you navigate on the academic publishing on our scholarly communication guide, it tells you more about predatory journals. You can read up, and it also tells you more about how to publish a book. So you can read up on that. And then also, it also tells you on evaluating open access journals. So you can take some time. I took you through the criteria that you can use to evaluate open access journals. Okay, colleagues, important to note is that when you're wanting to publish open access, it's important that apart from the DHEAD list that I showed you of accredited journals, you can also consult the directory of open access journals. For example, the directory of open access journal, where you can navigate to the website and you can check the list of open access journals. That's when you can find an open access journal to publish in, which will assist you with knowing whether the journal is openly accessible or it's subscription based, in contrast to the DHEAD list that just provide a list of accredited journals. With the directory of open access journals, it provides a list of all the open access journals. And then from that list, you can be able to compare it maybe with the DHEAD list when selecting which journal to choose from, instead of just selecting a journal and that you find that in the end you are stuck or you are faced with the challenge that the journal that you chose, maybe it's fully subscription based. It's not open, it doesn't comply rather to open access. We also have a database or a directory called Open Door. Open Door it works the same as the directory of open access journals. So it's also a database that allows you to search for journals, for open access journals, to see, to select rather which journal to publish in. All right, colleagues, we have come to the end of today's session on open access publishing. I'm just going to navigate to the slide here. If you do have any questions on open access publishing, feel free to email me. I will share my email with you on the chat. Otherwise, please scan our summative assessment it's the summative assessment helps us get a feel of whether you were able to of your understanding post the session of open access publishing. If you have further questions, I will be here to take on any questions that you may have or if anything was unclear. I'm also going to post the summative assessment link on the chat if you want to complete it online. Hi, Nosi. I see your question. It says just a quick summary on checking credibility of a journal. We are running fast. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me just try and navigate back to the slides. Okay, so I see I didn't include it per se, but what I can say, just to answer you briefly, how to check a journal is credible. You will have to just wanna escape full screen. You would have to consult, for example, whether the journal, you can find the journal, for example, in the DHEAD list, which I took you through, or whether the journal is accessible in the directory of open access journals. For example, if maybe do you have a particular journal in mind that you would like me to search for under the directory of open access journals? But some of the things that you would look for whether is the journal under an accredited list. You would scrutinize the website of the journal. You will inspect the editorial board of the journal. Basically, it's the things I touched on when you are trying to see whether a journal is not a predatory journal. For example, let me quickly navigate to. So it's this criteria, for example. So you would try to see, for example, is the journal included under the directory of open access journal, which I opened just a few minutes ago? Are publishing fees and copyright ownership clearly indicated? Is the publisher a member of a reputable industry organization, such as Open Access Scholarly Publishers, the Committee of Publication Ethics, and you will examine the website whether to see if it's affiliated with any university or professional organization. We also have a tool called Think Check, which allows you to check for journals. So you can search here for journals. If are you submitting your research to a trusted journal? So you can just read up on this list. For example, this is the checklist, reference list for your chosen journal to check if it is trusted. For example, some of the things that you would go through, some of the things that you will go through or some of the questions that you will answer is, do you, for example, or your colleague know the journal? Have you read any articles about this journal before? Is it easy to discover the latest paper in the journal? Name of the journal. Then once you find the name of the journal, you can now go to your directories, which is the directory of open access journals, and you can search for that journal. Or you can go to the accredited DHEAD list to see if it's part of the list. And you can search for it. If it pops up, for example, if it pops up, then you'll be able to see if it's part of an accredited list. For example, Taylor and Francis is part of the DHEAD list, so it's an accredited journal that you can publish under. I don't know if I've managed to answer your question, but this is the criteria that you would look at, which I discussed under predatory publishing to see if a journal is creditable. Thank you so much, colleagues. I'm also going to share my email just to see maybe if later on you might have questions about the sessions that come up, or maybe if you feel like there were parts of the presentation that maybe I went over too fast or were unclear and you just want to refresh your mind, you can email myself or my line manager and we should be able to assist you. Yeah, I will add my email to the chat. You can email me. On that email, and then I should be able to assist. Let's see. Let me see. I don't think my email is appearing. I'm going to try and type it again. Okay, I think it's appearing on the chat. Okay, if there are no more questions, thank you so much for joining today's session on open access publishing. Today we covered the different modules of open access publishing. If you are hoping to publish in journal articles, what you need to do is first you need to consult the journal list, which is the accredited list. You can consult our LibGuide on the library website, which will provide you with a recent list of accredited journals. If you want to view or see the different types of open access journal, you can go to the directory of open access journal, Open Door, which is another directory for open access journal, as well as ThinkChat to check whether the journal is credible. If there are no more questions, please join us for tomorrow's session on DSpace, where I will take you through what is DSpace and we will navigate the DSpace interface rather, and will provide you with practical examples on how to use DSpace effectively. Thank you once again for joining today's session on open access publishing.